Alright guys, so starting off this volume, we got the 2012 annual, which at face value is really cool because we get it all in the art style of Eastman, which, you know, if you've looked at the other two volumes before this, we've gotten like variant covers or just little bits of artwork that have been put in these collections that are done in Eastman's art. But this is the first issue that we've gotten where it's fully his, and I really dig it. He does some things that kind of give it, you know, kind of the OG feel. And obviously, like the way he draws things is really cool because it's the OG style. But there is some things that kind of harken back to kind of 80s with like intro cards that they do. You know, they're kind of reminiscent of like 80s movies where, you know, a character might come on and then they throw like a little box up there that says like their name and who they're associated with. I don't know. It's just a little thing, but it's really cool to see, especially a nice little mix-up for it being the annual. As well as there's this really cool scene, or I guess I should say page, where Eastman draws kind of an aerial shot of a couple of roads, the alleys, and kind of the buildings. So because at the beginning part of the annual, there is a lot of different groups kind of in the mix of one small little thing that happens. And so it's really cool just to get an aerial shot of where all of them are at and just how close everybody is. I don't know. It just gives a much more, I don't know if this would be the right way to say it, but more down to earth type, or that's not really what I'm trying to say, but I hope you get what I'm meaning. But moving on, there is also payoff of getting the French ninja group back, which I'm going to call the Savats. I don't know if I'm saying that right, though, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for the duration of this video, I'm just going to be calling them the Savats. But we do get the payoff of that. You know, I don't remember what issue it was, but I believe it was in the first volume that they were teased, as well as a kind of prelude to the coming conflict, which I think they've been setting up in a couple of the other issues before that as well. We also get intro to new players of the city, as well as new characters like Kid Kennedy, Victor, who is the second in command of the Savats in this annual, fighting Ferguson, as well as Angel's dad, Brooklyn Bridge. Again, I don't know if it's not just the art style, but I think it has a lot to do with it, with this annual feeling very classic. But I think even more so what I just love about the volume is it seems to have everything a TMNT fan will want. You know, it's got some running with street thugs. It's got mentioning or a little bit of seeing of the Purple Dragons. You have both the ninja groups, the Savat and the Foot. And then best of all, you have all the turtles together, at least at some point in the annual, which I think there should be more of in the ongoing series, or at least, you know, kind of the down to earth, because it feels like in the ongoing series, sometimes you just have the turtles together to fight or to go from point A to point B. It doesn't really seem like there's that many opportunities or at least instances, at least so far, where we've gotten, you know, kind of maybe the turtles just bouncing off one another, you know, showcasing some more depth or some things that they've learned from past ordeals. So I think starting off the volume with this is a great kind of setting the tone, because I do think you get more of that in this volume. There's not a lot of it, but I think you get more of it than what was in the last one, and so that leaves me hopeful for the future volumes as well. But I think that's just, you know, one little thing that I would like to say that it nails, that is a little bit different than maybe what we've gotten in some of the other ones. And again, that's excluding some of the early one-shot micro series that we've gotten with the turtles. Outside of that, I know we haven't had any in the ongoing series. But needless to say, let's get on to issue 21. Issue 21 is a very short and compact issue, and to be honest, there's not much that goes on, and I feel like this could have been, you know, maybe just shortened to like a panel or two that we saw in issue 22. But there is more that happens in issue 22, with it being the first part of City Falls. So at the end of the day, I still like issue 21 and I want it to be there. To be honest, issue 21 is one of those issues that I feel like if you're reading it month by month, or if you just pick up the issues by themselves, issue 21 might be one of those that you're like, this was good, but, you know, compared to some other issues, not as good. But I think when you're reading it all in one sitting or all together, like if you're reading it in this volume or if they come out with a compendium later on, I think it's one of those issues that is going to be just not only flow really well, but also going to be, again, nice little break or setup moments before we get into the more chaotic or the more back and forth issues when things are really popping off in a bunch of different of the organizations and stuff like that. But we do see Splinter kind of having this preparing test for the Turtles, as well as paying off the information, or at least the character recruitment that the Foot had in Secret of the Foot Clan. So really dig that, and that brings in a new player for the Foot that I think is going to be really cool to see later on in the series. Now, issue 22, like I mentioned, is the first part of City Fall. You have Shredder and Kitsune back again together, which is dope, and I don't know, I can make a point of it if I made a note of it here, but I really do want to see what power or what threat both of them together might have, because we know that they have a history, as we've seen in some of the one-shots or the mini-series, so really looking forward to that. But this kind of jumps off kind of our first kind of like, oh crap moments. There is Casey getting kidnapped, which there is a moment with Casey at the end of this issue that is just one I did not see coming at all, but I really digged it. And again, they're not pulling any punches when it comes to Shredder or how menacing or much of a threat the Foot are. And I think because of that and what they've done in the last two volumes, it's just making me so hyped to see the Foot be the centerpiece of the Turtles conflict in this series. So I hope, even if we take a break from them in like 3 or 4 volumes, I really do hope that they're not gone, just because I'm really liking everything they're doing with them in the setup so far. There is a small little, I guess you could say, plot hole in issue 22. When we get back to the lair and we see some of the other Turtles kind of interacting, Donnie makes mention of the Technodrome, which I call it a plot hole or a potential plot hole because I do not recall in any of the first 2 volumes where the Turtles actually got somebody telling them about the Technodrome. I don't remember Honeycutt mentioning it. I don't remember April saying that she got mentioning of this Technodrome, like, she didn't know what it was when she was getting the ooze and, some of the other information she was looking at when she went kind of ninja espionage into StockGen. So for that reason, I would call it a plot hole, because I don't believe we ever got a moment with it. Again, those 2 moments or those 2 character options are probably where I see the most plausible area for them to get that information off panel. But again, it does kind of come across as one of those that's kind of a little pinhole in the overall story, or at least, information and characters know. Again, they might go back and, kind of tell us why, or, they might just leave it up. But that's the only thing really I've seen in these 3 volumes so far that I can really nitpick story-wise of, like, why does this character know this or that? So to be honest, not that bad, but again, just thought I'd mention it there because it is something that, I think rarely happens in this series, or at least what I've read. Now, you do get another cool aspect with, which we've seen before, but I think it's more prominent now because we do get a transformation of it, and that is with Angel and the Purple Dragons. I really dig Angel being, with the Turtles, and because she is the leader of the Dragons being good, but, not necessarily just being her, but getting, again, some other exposition from other characters that the Dragons have been kind of reformed or a lot different than what they used to be. So seeing them as kind of like good guys for the first part of the story has been really refreshing. It's been interesting to see a different aspect of it, but also I think it gives weight a lot more to the people associated with that group and what that might mean for the power struggles and everything like that when we do get a transition, because there is no surprise that in this volume we do there is a micro series one shot of Hun. We do see him in the ongoing issues, so obviously knowing that Hun is directly related to the Purple Dragons, it gives that really cool flip flop there. I don't know. It's just a nice little way, even if it's like something that's super small in the overall scope of the series. There is also a exchange, kind of like a win or loss scenario for the Turtles, being able to get Casey back and also losing Leo. Not Leo dying, but him getting kidnapped by the Foot. So that's really cool as a cliffhanger, but also because it is kind of paying off the thing they built in the last volume with Shredder wanting to get Leo as his second. So really neat there. The only other thing I can say is, again, I really do like the artist that does, I guess, the bulk of the ongoing issues, but I just wish he would draw the Turtles more with the colorless eyes or the blocked eyes. I don't know. When I can see their eyes, it just takes me out of it. But that's a personal thing. It doesn't really affect the overall story of how I feel about it. But it's just I will give him props though. I do like when it goes back and forth. I guess I kind of understand it from maybe in a way where when they're just talking, having a bit more of that emotion, being able to draw. But I don't know. I guess I'm stubborn in that regard. But anyway, moving on. This is when we get the Old Hob micro series one shot. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I did really enjoy it. It is. I don't know where I would rank it. Old Hob is still not a character that I hold very high on my list, but I do think that the micro series one shot did its part on making him a bit more compelling, or at least giving him a bit more layer, and also kind of cleaning up some of the story beats centered around Hob. I feel like we got a tease of Hob being alive in the last volume, right? So there was this kind of reaction of, how is Hob alive? Because they kind of built him up in like the first volume as, I don't want to say being stupid, but just being very one-dimensional in that, he's got one purpose, and once his purpose is done, like, they're not going to do anything. So I think, seeing this kind of helping fill in the gaps, and how he's still here, as well as how he has certain items, and just, getting a little bit more track in his mindset, right? Did really good wonders for making me excited for because he's still alive, what that might mean for the story. There is a good aspect of Hob hating humans. They touch on it a little bit more, kind of giving reason why that is. And I dig it. And I think that is what intrigues me for what he might do for the story. But there is how they do it too might come across as a bit generic, and that he's telling Slash. But I think him telling Slash is more reasonable than any other way we would see this backstory. So to me, I like it, even if it is a tried and true method, or a run-of-the-mill method of how to tell that information. As well as we get a nice little foreshadowing ending for Old Hob, which is basically the end of issue 23. Which, speaking of issue 23, let's talk about that. So issue 23, again, this would be the second part of City Fall. You get a lot of things with Casey in this, but one of the things that they do really nicely in the first part of the issue is seeing Casey getting rushed to the hospital, getting his treatment, as well as Leo getting brainwashed by Kitsune, which they do it in a way where it bounces back and forth to give kind of the picture that it's happening simultaneously, and it has an almost cinematography feel to it. So I dig that too. Again, it's kind of like an old style, or an old, I guess you could call it gimmick, like how they do that. But I don't know. It's one that it works really nicely. But also it's kind of like it just giving, again, kind of that same resonating feeling that you have at the end of issue 23, where it's like the Turtles won because they were able to save Casey, but they lost because they, obviously had the Foot get Leo. So again, it has kind of that resonating vibe there as well. But like I said, with Casey, you also get Casey and Angel information. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right, this is Angel talking to April, which makes it a lot more sense, because it wouldn't make any sense that we got this info with Casey and Angel unless they worded it really well. So from the way that they tell it and kind of giving a bit more, what would you call it, straightforward information, makes it a lot better when it's Angel telling April. But we get more insight into Casey and Angel's relationship, which I guess I should call it more friendship, right? Because it's not like they're dating or they used to date or anything like that. But as well as their family connection and history, because we do find out that Angel and Casey's dad knew each other. Not only that, but they were really good friends. And I don't know if they drop here, but they were part of the Purple Dragons when they were younger. So kind of your little tease there for this next bit of information when we do see Arnold at the hospital, which if you've forgotten, I know I did. Arnold is Casey's dad. So we do kind of see him get his wake-up call when he's about to enter the room, when he overhears Angel talking shit about him. And it is kind of the thing that is a catalyst for him to stop drinking, or at least change his ways. But we leave it at a very cut and dry cliffhanger there. So at least on his on his end. So that is just teasing you, but it's really intriguing to, like, what's the importance of this, and what is this going to mean? So and they go in a direction that I never would have guessed, and I ended up liking it a lot, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. So again, issue 23 ends with Hob meeting up with, or I guess I should say the Turtles meeting up with Hob, which again harkens back to Hob's microseries one-shot, which again, when you're reading this all in the volume, it just flows really well, and I like it a lot. Now for issue 24, we do see Shredder gathering his forces to face the Turtles, this time with his new second. And then Hob, it kind of does this really good fake out where old Hob is getting this information from the Shredder because he made the deal with the Turtles. So you're kind of like, oh, is Hob going to betray them? What is this going to amount to? And I do like how because of the information we've gotten from Hob in the microseries one-shot, this not only makes a believable sense, but the reader almost, like, because you know that information, you almost trust Hob more than the Turtles do in this moment, which, again, if you're looking at it from the Turtles' perspective, they're completely justified. So I like the, kind of the multi-layered thinking you kind of have when you're reading it, and I think it just works really well. But with that being said, Hob does get the Turtles in Splinter to Leo, kind of, giving them the opportunity to save Leo, but also sort of helping Shredder kind of execute his trap. There's also a sweet moment with Mikey and Slash that's really great, because it kind of, I guess solidifies the, what would you call it, the ally-ness of Slash to the Turtles. Obviously, like I mentioned, or at least you could probably get it alluded to, that they come face to face with Leo, who is now their enemy because of his brainwashing. And there is a moment here that, again, if you're reading this issue by issue, it might come across as poorly executed story, but I think when you're reading it all in one issue, and when you read the next issue and look back, I think it's actually really nicely done, and it again gives you kind of this hint that there's something more here, and that is that Leo has Splinter basically on death's door, or at least not like he beat him or anything, but like if he had the opportunity to kill Splinter, and but he's stopped by Orokusaki, Shredder. And the reasoning behind it in this issue is that Shredder says that it's because he wants to save Splinter for himself, which again leads to the opportunity of the Turtles escaping, which when you're reading it in this issue, I'm not gonna lie, even I was like, well, that seems poorly done to let the turtles escape. But when you find out more information, which I don't know, I may say it when we're talking about the later issues, or I might just wait for the ones that want to read it for themselves. But it does explain, it does. You get new information that when you look back at that moment, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And they did it in a way that you didn't miss. If you could catch up on, but if you weren't looking for it, you would have missed it. So I like moments like that where they're able to set up things like you blink and you miss. But then again, maybe I'm giving the authors too much credit. Maybe that just so happened to fall in line with things that they did. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and, give props that was pretty cool. Anyway, we do get the micro series one-shot of Alopex. So, Alopex's micro series one-shot is probably the weakest one-shot that they've had since the Donatello one. And I'm not going to say it was as bad as the Donatello one, because I will stand by that Donatello's micro series one-shot is awful. Not awful, but, it's not great. But this one is a little bit different, because where the Donatello one kind of failed on all fronts, I feel like Alopex's only necessarily fails on a couple, because it does do some things that I really do like, and also I think it's done well for future things. So her one shot kind of has an overall theme of like family and loyalty, right? We get first off, starting off, hers seeing her take out some turncoats of the foot, as well as having the dedication to, when she is doing this task, having them kind of take up weapons that the turtles used, and then blindfolding herself to, get better at fighting, I guess, essentially would-be turtles, right? So that she can complete her next task that, Shredder has, on going up against the turtles, or in case they face them again. So right off the bat, I think it shows off the dedication not only to the foot and like Shredder, but also like the extra mile Alopex is willing to go because of how grateful she is in this situation, and to the foot. So starting off the volume or the issue like that, I really do like. Again, I don't know what it is. I don't know if Eastman does this because a lot of people have this, so it's kind of like an inside joke or like meme. But like, I noticed it a lot in this volume, but there is so much shaded disrespect for Donatello and like his bow staff. I don't know what it is. There's multiple times they do it in this micro series one shot. I think they do it in like a couple of the issues next, but it's just so weird to me. But anyway, we do get another tease of Bebop and Rocksteady in the foot. So, I think we've gotten like 2 or 3 of those in each of the volumes previously. So again, teasing them, it's kind of like one of those that we do get by the end of this volume. So don't worry, but, just spreading the seed there that, like, yeah, they're still there. They're still coming. At first, I thought it would be great if they just had Bebop and Rocksteady as like humans throughout the whole run, and they were just like in the back, but they were never like they never actually did anything. I thought that would have been kind of funny, but at the end of the day, you still want mutated Bebop and Rocksteady, right? But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So you get to see that when Alopex returns from her mission, Shredder has a mission for her, and it kind of takes her to her old home / where she was mutated. And there's this whole thing of like the Shredder burning down everything of her past life, but and I guess it's supposed to ensure loyalty to him, but it kind of fails or backfires with Alopex, and that leads to Alopex kind of resenting the Shredder when she before had undying loyalty. So there is this connection, this really complex, because again, like, there's some people that if you push them too far, like, or, they're loyal already, you don't need to do anything else, but, to do things that other people might need, some people may not. I don't know. Hopefully I worded that correctly. I think if you've watched a lot of stuff or you've seen other things, you get where I'm coming from, or, just know people in general. But, again, there's some nice little things about that here and there. And I really do like the kind of metaphor that they have for Alopex on how she sees the Shredder now and how she used to see the Shredder in relation to comparing it to some of the things in her past life. But I do think that while this does give a really good reason for her betrayal, I can't help but fault it in that it seems like a really cheap way to set up something just to give a kind of written off way to have the turtles escape or survive in a future scenario, with it still being like, oh, well, you can't fault me because there's setup for this, right? To me, it still feels kind of cheap. I don't know. Maybe that's just my just the way I feel, and I'm not being too rational about it. But again, it's a good micro series one shot. But Alopex is not. Again, we have so many iconic villains, especially in the TMNT universe, that Alopex is just by default going to be a little bit lower, and so that's part of the reason why. But I still think at the end of the day, it is a good micro series one shot. But we get into another micro series one shot, which is Karai, and again, I'm not going to try to spend too long on this, but there is kind of a mixture between past and present going on in this micro series one shot, with Karai visiting the foot training facility in New York City and meeting an old teacher named Toshiro, which would be really dope if we see this later on. And I think it is also another cool thing to see because, New York's not really known for having ninjas, right? So seeing an actual facility where they train people and kind of teach them martial arts and stuff like that, I think is also another great world building way that, you kind of start to, I don't want to say, because in some regards, I guess the series, you have to have a dispense of disbelief or something, or whatever that saying goes. I don't have that because, I just take this is this world, and some of these facts are fact, or possible. But I think it does do a great job of, just not relying that the reader has to do that in order for them to be like, oh yeah, there's ninjas here, So at the end of the day, I do like that. But more importantly, we get to see this back and forth between the past and present, with present Karai trying to figure out how to deal with the Shredder and how to get back into his good graces, and kind of having this really cool, is she going to try to betray the Shredder? Is she that stupid and crazy? Or is she going to try to get on his good graces somehow? And they kind of leave you second guessing all the time with Karai, which I dig, because Karai is one that you have to do something with to make her a little bit more interesting. And I think this was a great way to do that at the start. But also seeing her past and, looking at how the foot was when she was younger, what necessarily led her to do the things that she did, and even seeing a little bit about how she went about resurrecting the Shredder. I think probably the coolest moment in this is Shredder visiting Karai in a dream and having kind of ghostly mark on her. That was badass. And again, when we see some of this more mystic stuff, it makes me really wonder where they might take that to, or what level they might push that to. And again, seeing little bits and pieces of this, really neat. There's also a great little, what would you call it, a setup or foreshadowing of Leo's conflict within himself, resisting kind of that brainwashing in this. But I do like how Leo walks in holding himself, and how much he talks down to Karai and some of the other foot people while he's in this brainwashed state. And then lastly, you do get a sneak peek of what Karai has in store to execute whatever plan they are setting up with Bebop and Rocksteady kind of alluded to in that. Issue 25. Oh boy, issue 25. So let's see here. This you get 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks since the fight with Leo, so a bit of a time skip. You do get some bits of information about characters. I do like how subtly they do this. Like, for instance, there is a subtle little like one panel. It's not even in dialogue, I don't think. It's just in the art. But you get to see that Casey and April are in a relationship, or at least they're building that romantic or that romance between them. There is, again, another great moment where we get the complexity of Hobb kind of come out, seeing, what exactly he's trying to make come to fruition, and then recruiting, or at least wanting to be buddy-buddy with the Turtles now, right? So Splinter is kind of settling the conditions with Hobb, what he might have to do in order to get Hobb and Slash support in retrieving Leo, which again, kind of making a deal with an enemy, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of vibe. I dig that. You do get to see characters from the micro series one-shots as well as the annual, and I think they're done really well. They're put in there to where if you've read the micro series one-shot, you're going to be like, oh, that's really cool. We saw this character do this, and there's that, obviously, again, solidifying that world building that they've already set up. But I think it's executed well enough that if you're somebody that, maybe you don't have as much money, maybe you just want to collect the ongoing series and read all of that first, and then maybe go back and pick some of those up. They do a really good job of making it to where you don't necessarily get information where you're going to be confused. I'm somebody that always wants to read any of the side material, so I know exactly what's going on, because I hate being this like, wait, that guy is important? Like, how important is he? Like, what do I not know? So that's just kind of one of those things. For me personally, I would still want to read the side, but I think for those that maybe not necessarily care, or maybe not necessarily my train of thought, I think it should at least read really well for you guys as well. Now, we do get more development and progression of the three turtles, and I really dig this. Again, like I said, when we were talking about the annual, there was this setup here, and especially with Leo gone, there is sort of a disconnect, even more so with the three turtles that are remaining, and having this little moment where they're all kind of calling each other on their bullshit, and then ultimately, able to vent to them, come to them as a brother and be like, yeah, I know you're right. It's because of this and that, and I'm gonna do this, and then seeing that kind of blossom into them being able to, I guess, simulate together what Leo is, and being able to go out and get a game plan to get their brother back. I just think that's really done, and probably the standout of this issue if I had to pick one. You also get a really cool, badass peek at the I call it the four toes of the foot, with you have Shredder, Leo, Alopex, and Karai, which is cool. I don't know, they don't have a fifth one, so I guess the foot's missing a toe. But kind of their elite team, kind of going in and trying to make some trouble at the door of the Savats, as well as again, little teases of Karai and her mutant plan. You have Victor gathering the other parts of the mob that are associated with the Savats, which is, again, really nice, harken back to the annual. This might be the only part where, well, I don't know. I think it aligns with what I said before about characters coming in that you've seen in the other ones. But we also get, again, another little snippet of Leo resisting the brainwashing, and just how some of the other people are seeing it. Again, Karai's the one addressing it to Shredder, because probably if a regular foot soldier confronted Shredder about Leo being a pussy on the job, I'm sure the Shredder would just cut him down in two. So, Karai's really the only one with the balls and the power to survive that. Really dig that, but also, again, this leads to some good information about why Shredder did what he did, with Leo stopping him taking Splinter's life, as well as why he's allowing Leo to not hold up the code that the rest of the foot is abiding by. And I think they give a good reason to that as well, because Kitsune's brainwashing techniques is through magic, so obviously having Leo being able to resist because of his past memories or his strong connection to his past life, I think is, a really good way to counterbalance that, because, what else would you be able to counteract magic besides supernatural means? So again, I think it's really good. Now, we got to jump through this, guys. So you got the micro series one shot of Hun, which is what? Yeah. So I think you get mentioning of it in issue 25, maybe. I don't remember. I feel like you get a little bit of a revelation to what this is in one of the ongoing issues before the micro series one shot of Hun. But in the micro series one shot of Hun, you do get confirmation that Hun is Arnold, which is just insane. I never would have guessed that they would have made Hun Casey's dad, especially considering some other iterations Hun was the one who killed Casey's dad, which I guess if you look at it, kind of could be the case here in a metaphorical type of way. But really dig that. It does throughout the issue. I think it's one that, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail of why, but I think it creates a really cool villain for Casey to go up against, or conflict for Casey and Angel to go up against, and like a side thing while the Turtles are doing their thing. You have this very strong connection to somebody that's doing bad in the city for Casey, and I don't know, it's just a really cool way to do that. Anyway, so you do have Shredder in the mix of Hun as well, being the one that actually is attributing to Arnold coming back as Hun, which is really cool. And also kind of just showing the I don't want to say, well, it is kind of diabolical, but the diabolical nature of Shredder's tactics, recruiting the father of the son he just, injured, and then telling him like, oh yeah, if you do all this, I'll help pay for Casey's bills and all that. So it's like, whoa. Loving the mastermind orchestrating of this, and I think we even get some more insight to how tactical thinking Shredder is too. And I love that he's not a dummy at all in this series. But again, having kind of Leo be the one to be the messenger in the sense of this too is another nice touch, with it being set in the City Fall arc. Now, the other cool thing too is that they kind of attribute Arnold being able to get back in the shape that he is and being super strong, attributing that to the ooze. And I think that's really cool. I dig it, and I think that will mean a lot. It'll make sense why Hun is able to be a bigger threat to some of the mutated characters, because he is enhanced himself, let me put it that way. But it does bring up a question of exactly how the ooze is working in this series, because I feel like it's changed throughout the different iterations. So I'm interested to see if, because we know Shredder took the ooze as well in like when he was still in Feudal Japan, does this mean he's also enhanced in some way physically? I would assume so. And also, if that's the case, why don't they just give it to humans? Why do they mutate people into animal type stuff? And also, how does that even work? But just little stuff here and there. I think they probably would. I have my own reasoning behind it, but it's not really that important to the issue. But it's just kind of a cool thing to think of as a fan. Anyway, I do really like how this information, kind of this story is told through this micro series, with Hun being in the circle for what is it, Alcohol Anonymous or whatever, and it's just really cool to have that. I know it's an old, again, another thing that plenty of other TV shows, movies, etc. have done, but just because we've had Casey's dad be the drunk and just the abuser and everything like that for so long, I think having him back and kind of transformed into this menacing presence is just it's a nice way to do that. Now we get into issue 26, which is part 5 of City Fall, and let's see here. What did happen? Oh, yes. We get Leo seeing his mother during meditation, which again is attributing to him snapping out of his brainwashing, second-guessing himself, which I didn't make mention of it, but the I guess the sequence where Leo does get brainwashed is really, really cool. It is really neat, and I do like how even Eastman style is utilized in some of the kind of nightmarish dreams. But anyway, we get Angel and Raph having a nice moment. I really dig that, especially since Casey is kind of absent right now, and the interaction is sad but exciting in relation to the dragons, because we do have Hun and Angel having a confrontation in kind of a, for lack of a better term, a settled agreement by this issue, and so that also adds to kind of the sadness on Angel's part. But we also get Mikey getting Woody back, his friend, and this does have a purpose leading into some Mikey getting some information about some leads, and what will potentially have helped the Turtles find where they can find Leo again. As well as you get Donnie and April going to Harold's to get tech. Now, this is probably my least liked thing with one of the Turtles, and this is also probably my least liked part in this issue. I really don't understand why Donatello is not making his own tech. I don't know why they are downplaying Donatello so much, saying that he's not that smart. Apparently he's the smartest that out of the Turtles, and he's like smart to where he can still understand the other smart characters that are introduced, but for some reason he's like the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to the smart, techie, geeky guys, and I just don't understand why that is, especially since Donnie's supposed to be the reason why the Turtles have such cool tech, and why their layers all tricked out with safety and stuff like that. So really not liking that, but I'm just hoping that they're saving that kind of stuff or that side of Donatello for later, because to be honest, we are still, even though this is volume 3 already, we do know that this is only to issue 28, so I'll be a little bit more lenient, but again, still not liking what I'm seeing from Donatello on that regard. We do have the Foot again striking the Savant, taking Victor captive, which again, there's a really nice showcasing of how brutal Shredder is in this, which I absolutely dig. They actually use the weapons the way people would, right? And I think that's another thing too, because I think even in like the live action movies, or maybe not the first one, but like the second and third one, they lessened like how much the Turtles were able to use their weapons, because they had the whole thing of like, oh, they can't slice people up or whatnot. So I like that in this iteration we're seeing, not only the Turtles use it here and there, how weapons would be used, but especially the bad guys, because they have swords for a reason. They're killing people, right? In this issue as well, it's jam-packed full of stuff, guys. We got Splinter helping Hob with his job, which Hob wants him to steal some ooze from Stockgen, and Hob and Slash destroying Stockgen, which can't wait to see what Baxter Stockman thinks of that. I just love the idea that Stockman doesn't have a home to come back to. He's kind of just stuck on Burnout Island now. But and then we get at the very end, Karai, potentially about to sweep the rug out from Shredder, or at least try. That's not exactly how it ends up happening, but I do love the little what would be the feeling that gives of that. Now, we're down to the wire here, guys, so this will be hopefully fast saying here, because we got 3 more issues to go over. So the micro series one shot of Bebop and Rocksteady, really, 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 really dig this. I think this had the potential to be too goofy and too silly, and especially for the tone that they've kind of set. Don't get me wrong, they have lighthearted stuff, they have funny stuff here and there, but for the most part, I think it's stayed pretty it hasn't gone too goofy or it hasn't been too childish. So this is where I was really worrying about, because, obviously Bebop and Rocksteady are not the brightest or the most serious characters, but I think they end up balancing this really well. And I think they were able to do it in a way that, lines up with their characters, lines up to what you like about those characters, but also giving them such more of a menacing presence. I won't go through the whole issue, but you do kind of have this setup of them being washed up and kicked out of their biker gang, or at least it looks like a biker gang, and every other gang in this city. So they're looking for a new crew to run with, and they have a vow to themselves to change how things are going. And I do like kind of the passage of time we see with them, meeting up with the Foot and then trying to, earn up in the ranks there, then running into Karai, and then what that means for her little project that she brings in. I do like that, they're lied to in a sense, or I should say they're kept in the dark. So Karai tells them one thing, but it's actually a different thing. I do like that as well. Because it kind of helps, I guess, lessen the stupidity or kind of the imbecileness that those characters come off with. Because I feel like if Karai would have been straight with them, it might have been a little too much to believe. But overall, did dig that. There is a little moment where Karai has a field test, kind of seeing, how it's going to work out. And, of course, them kind of screwing up in regular Bebop and Rocksteady fashion, but in a way that's like, oh crap, you just released a bull in a china closet, or in this case a warthog and a rhino. But it's pretty neat, and it does get pretty gruesome with lots of death and lots of killing. But I think that goes into playing into what their characters are kind of meant to be, right? They're supposed to be like these street thugs that love violence and love senseless violence and that too. So I think they play on that really well. There is a bit more complex relationship between Karai and the Foot with Bebop and Rocksteady later on, but because Karai kind of sees how Bebop and Rocksteady's I guess naiveness is, she's able to play off of that, and I think it's really great. There's even this one moment I love where Bebop's just like, Rocksteady, you genius. We'll take the shortcut through the walls. There's plenty of moments like that where I feel like, if you do like the more goofy nature, it is in there, woven in there pretty well. In a way, it does give more of a lighthearted, almost, I wouldn't say it's a lighthearted change, but it is more of a comic relief. But I think, again, they do bounce back and forth because there is some moments where they do appear very menacingly. But yeah, and I do love even the preconceived notion that Bebop and Rocksteady have about Shredder, and just how they think Karai is probably a hard ass compared to Shredder, and seeing them finally interact will be pretty amazing in this iteration. But with that being said, we get into issue 27, which is part 6 of City Fall. Again, because of Mikey's lead with Woody, kind of he gets the information he needs about Leo, and then you get the Purple Dragons coming into the fold with the Foot, and also just with Hun and Angel's interaction. Oh man, I dig it a lot. It makes Hun right off the bat more menacing, and I'm getting strong Negan vibes, which that is a compliment, Eastman. That is, I can't tell you how much I think that is a great direction. And again, there is one thing though that I will say, and I have a problem with this in the next issue too, but I don't understand why nobody, either Angel or Casey, isn't bringing up to Hun the fact that Hun is working for the same guy that injured Casey, that put him in the hospital. And I don't know, this seems like such a great opportunity to have kind of this, again, another snap in Hun or Arnold And I don't know. It's just really weird. I feel like because this information hasn't been said, we do get a close moment where it might happen. But again, I don't know why it doesn't. But I feel like this might be kind of set up for a redemption for Hun later on. But we'll see. But let's see here. Sorry, I'm having to go skim through because these are my I had to switch notes here off my phone, which are not as concise. There is, again, with harking back to the issue I had with Donatello, there is another moment in issue 27 where there is a comment where April being smarter than Donnie, and I can't tell you how much I just don't like this. And I don't want to say that I think Donnie should be the smartest or I think he should be smarter than April, but I think not having Donnie and April on the same level of smarts is just disappointing. You know, I think not only does it take away from the one aspect that makes Donnie more unique out of the other turtles, but also it really limits to kind of what he's able to do because of that preconceived notion that you're putting in the issue. Now, again, I understand because, you know, Donnie was mutated. His information is limited to probably the internet or whatever, you know, or even then, like, some of the things you have to take in, but, you know, and April's like a grad student or whatever, but still, I think wrong direction to go, and I really don't like the showcase there. But we get lots more moments for the Turtles to shine now that Leo's been gone, which, I do dig, and I think it gives, you know, some opportunities even in this issue with Donnie and Raph having a moment, also with Mikey being able to stand out a little bit with his little side project to get info that's going to lead to the rest of them knowing where Leo's at. Again, though, along with Donnie, Mikey is severely underused, and I would like to see some more stuff step up in his way because I think they've done, like, what we've seen of Mikey's been really good, but, or at least, you know, showcasing of his character and everything, that's fine. I think they just need to give him more to do or more to associate with, because right now it's the least out of all the other turtles. But we get Leo getting help from his mom, which, again, because of the supernatural aspect, I do kind of dig that in some shape or form, some way, shape, or form that their mother's kind of helping them on the spirit side of things. I think, again, that might lead to, you know, some interaction or some, what would you call it? Some ways for her to show back up again later on if they touch on more of the mystic stuff again. So in this issue, you kind of get, again, everybody kind of coming to head. It's kind of, again, the center conflict of the Turtles trying to take another crack at getting Leo, as well as the Foot kind of coming together with all of their allies to claim victory over the city and also be a message to all of their allies of don't screw with us. So you got kind of all of those different components coming together in this issue so that in the next issue we can get kind of the final head of this. Everybody's gearing up to go into this fight, and I love how Hun looks, again, giving me Negan vibes of just how he's smiling, how he looks thrilled to be there, part of the show. But damn, they even got Walter White in this meeting. I didn't know Shredder was getting in the meth business too, but hey, get a powerful ally like that too, it's going to do well for you. Anyway, now you get Victor being here to be kind of the visual lesson to all the audience, which I think is really great. Again, showing that Shredder doesn't just use words, but he does use action. And there's also the beginning part of this conflict coming to head with a really fantastic siege on the theater, which is the meeting place that the Foot is having. And as well as... you know, again, everybody having kind of like their mini thing. So, you know, you have Leo kind of having a breakdown moment. You have Casey and Angel standing against Hun with Casey wearing a different mask than his normal one, which I hope it goes more back to the iconic one because this other one looks like a Jason ripoff. But Donnie's... Donnie has a device that's used really well against Shredder, which more of a standout on Donnie's end, but which we don't really get moments where there's individual or all of the turtles standing out in one moment in the battle. I feel like it's been more so just two with Leo and Raph probably, but in this one I think they do a little bit better job of having some moments for the others as well. But of course it ends this issue with the introduction of Bebop and Rocksteady into the ongoing series, which is great, which leads to a really nice conflict with, again, showcasing the what would you call it, the power threat to the Turtles, with Bebop and Rocksteady kind of throwing these turtle bowling balls into rat pins, if you will. But there's, again, the showdown with Angel, Casey, with Hun. And in this issue, this is where they're setting up Hun to be this sort of redeemable, or at least, come back and save potentially character. But I still don't know why Casey's not bringing up the Shredder, because it feels like, I know Casey's already written off his dad as not part of his family and that he's got a new family, but I feel like mentioning, Hun working for the guy that hurt his son, or him, like Casey, would be kind of the hard-hitting thing to say to his dad, especially after Hun is questioning like Casey having saying that he has a new family and all that. But it's just all that. But we do get I won't run down the issue, but basically we do get the city fall coming to a close. The Turtles having a success on getting Leo back, but also there being a tease for some psychological damage with Leo that I'm really hoping, I'm really excited to see, but I'm really hoping it goes in the way I'm thinking of too. But this kind of leading into the Turtles having a win, but also having to go into retreat because they do have a very strong enemy now, with a lot more powerful allies on the side that they're going to have to go up against. Now, to get to the very end of this volume, I know this is so long. Nobody's going to watch this video. I already know. Nobody's going to watch this video, dude. But we're going to get into the micro-series one-shot of Shredder, which, man, every time they have a micro-series one-shot or they do a mini-series that focuses around the Foot or Shredder, it's always bomb, and this is no exception. This kind of, again, is taking place after the events of the last issue, and this is kind of the Foot just meeting up with news that the Turtles and Splinter are nowhere to be found, but they're continuing the search. And during this meeting, Karai mentions or makes like a little joke or innuendo or whatever about Shredder being resurrected, and Shredder kind of being sort of dismissive or kind of deflecting it, and then ending the meeting, and Kitsune picking up on this and confronting Shredder about why he's always deflecting or being invasive when somebody's talking about his resurrection. And I think this brings up another interesting dynamic for the Shredder that, again, just raises him up to be, again, a really, I don't know, like maybe the best iteration, maybe. I won't say definitively, but I really do like this extra layer that they add. So, with Kasune confronting him about this, he does bring up this badass line that I love, and it's like, you didn't tell me where my soul would go. And this kind of leading into some backstory with what happened when she first put him in the preserved state, and Shredder kind of being sent to this, I don't know, like a Japanese afterlife or something to that nature. There's like there's this it feels like it has like an Eastern aesthetic to it, or so it might be like an Eastern version of like an afterlife or like purgatory or something like that. But Shredder has this meeting with an Oni child, which I don't know if you don't know Oni, a demon child, and it warning him of to let the permanent residents find some semblance of peace, because he will not be able to go back if he disrupts I guess their habitat, or at least that's kind of what it alludes to. But there is one thing there's one line this child gives that doesn't make any sense until the very end, and I really love how you find that. I didn't even really think that's what it meant until thinking about it a while. But there's this moment where the child says because the Shredder asks well, can you take my soul or something, or do you have power over that or whatever, and the child says we can't take your soul, but you can give it to us. So I won't spoil it here, but there is a really cool progression of Shredder trying to conquer this realm, and his last enemy that he faces in this issue is directly related to that last line that Oni child said, and I think it is really cool when you think about it. But also there is this kind of premonition, or I guess what would you call it? Kind of like a Ghost of Future. Ghost of the Future, kind of revealing some information to Shredder about his future and what his life is going to amount to and how it's going to end up back here. And that adding to the devotion of, quote unquote, not making the same mistake again, or when he gets to that point, eventually he's going to do things differently. And so I don't know. It's a really extra layer to Shredder that I'm digging, because we have his conflict in New York. We have his conflict from the past. We have his spiritual conflict. We have the potential connection with the Utroms. So, there's just, again, on all fronts. And then with the Turtles as well. So, really digging it. Now, this first volume, not like anybody, I might have to put this excerpt at the beginning of the video, guys, because I don't know who's around at this time. But this third volume, IDW Collection Volume 3, was a blast to read. I really digged it a lot, and I think I don't know if this is my favorite one yet, but it very well might be. I think, nevertheless, this was an FFA, a 9 out of 10. Really enjoyed the City Fall arc, again, having kind of that focus on the crime rings in New York, focusing more on, quote unquote, the physical conflict, or the non-supernatural or sci-fi related conflict, which is really cool, because I think that is one of the best components of or at least the things that the Turtles are going to face is with just the mutants and the Foot. So it centers around that. So with that being said, guys, not much more to it. This was issues 21 to 28, and then the micro series one shots that I mentioned. So I highly recommend that you go pick it up. It has been staying consistent, and I think, again, even looking at the individual issues, it is one of the most bang for your buck out there. There's so much story in the issues, and I think the more I check out, different comics and, up and coming series and whatnot in the graphic novel world, this just continues to stand on the top, and, in the top 5 of comics that I've checked out. So, you should go check it out. I will be back for Volume 4, because I have it right here. I have not read any of it, but I do see that it is a shorter one. So, probably won't take too long, but I will try to be back as soon as possible. I'll start reading that. But with that being said, guys, go check out some of our other stuff. We got plenty of content on the way with the episode-by-episode reviews of Danmachi, as well as we're going to be coming out with some more stuff on The Boys, I think, as well as, more book stuff. So stay tuned for that. And as always, peace, addicts. Have a good day.